And just like that, we are live. PRS just announced their new NF3 and NF3 Maple models. I'm not gonna lie, I'm surprised a little. I was not expecting a release this time in the year, considering the fact that they just announced that they'll equip their S2 models with the core pickups, and earlier in the year, they released their NF53, which was the Telecaster model. Let's dive into it. Is it hype or is it real? Now, not to be confused with the NF53, which is PRS's Telecaster model. The NF3 is PRS's third Strat, if I'm not mistaken, that comes after the bolt-on Fiore, and obviously John Mayer's signature Silver Sky. But this guitar, like I said, is an SE model. So you have the SE, which is the most affordable. You have the S2, which is sort of the middle ground. And you have the core PRS models, which are the top-notch stuff, the museum pieces. But there are a few very interesting features in the NF3, which I think we should really talk about. By far, the most important feature in this guitar are the Narrowfield DD pickups that are installed on them. So the NF in the names NF3 and NF53 stand for Narrowfield. So this is the story of the Narrowfield pickup. In 2008, Paul Reed Smith, the owner and the founder of the company, wanted to have a single coil pickup that is high quality, sounds like a single coil, but has also all the other good characteristics of a humbucker. So no humming, no noise, fuller sound. These pickups are called Narrowfield because they have a more narrow field and a smaller footprint comparing to your, normal humbuckers. And that is to get a tighter sound. What you'll also notice is that the Narrowfield pickups have a stair-step design. And the idea here is to basically make sure that the distance between the string and the magnet of the pickup remains consistent throughout the curvature of the neck. And it's a small detail, but what this does, it promotes even more volume in the guitar, but also it allows the guitar to have a more balanced tone. And lastly, the double D in the pickup's name refers to deep dish, not its size. And deep dish basically refers to a modification in the pickup's coiling pattern and magnet to basically produce more depth when it comes to the frequency of the sound that it produces. The American-made Narrowfield pickups were first introduced in the NF53, if I'm not wrong, and this new NF3 guitar, which is an SE model, will have the more affordable version of that pickup, which is Narrowfield S. Let's have a listen. Bridge pickup first. Middle pickup next. All right, and the neck pickup. So clearly they're targeting, rock/pop, jazz, blues guitar players mostly with this particular model. But let's have a look at the specs of this guitar together. They're pretty interesting. The body wood is poplar, which is cottonwood, and it's similar to John Mayer's Silver Sky model, so not a surprise there. And the top carve is flat top, which again is not a surprise. Number of frets 22, scale length 25 inch. The neck construction is scarfed. Keep it in mind, I'm gonna come back to this in a second. Radius of the fretboard is 10 inches, which is standard PRS. Custom 24s are also 10 inches. When it comes to the architecture and the physical features of this guitar, I'm not surprised whatsoever, like at all. And let me explain to you why. To do this, I've created a PowerPoint slide for you guys to compare and contrast John Mayer's Silver Sky SE with the NF3 model. This is the slide that I created for you guys, and the cells that are in green are the features that are different between the two guitars. So with the pickups, the Silver Sky has John Mayer's signature model in there. The NF3 has the Narrowfield DD, like we talked about. When it comes to the neck construct, there we go, this is important. When it comes to the neck construct, the Silver Sky has a multiply neck, but the NF3 has a scarfed neck. There are three major ways to construct a neck. One is just a single piece of wood, like a Fender Telecaster, for example, that is carved out at the headstock. The second way is the scarf joint, which is basically a single piece of wood, but the headstock bit is cut diagonally, reversed, and glued. There's two major ways to do it. If you want more details, I have a video about this, which I fully discuss the details of it. So scarf joint is the second method. And the third method is the multiply method, which is basically your neck wood and a bunch of materials in the middle are glued together. And one of the advantages of a multiply guitar neck is that it's more sturdy. It's more stable. Doesn't mean that a good scarf neck joint can't be stable. They definitely can. But if you got a multiply neck and a scarf joint neck that are built of, the same quality, both are very high quality, the multiply neck is going to be a little bit more stable. Scarf joint, on the other hand, is going to be cheaper to make, considering the fact that the NF3 is an SE model. PRS needs to cut the operational cost of this guitar, the cost of making this guitar, and therefore scarf joint makes perfect sense on this guitar. It reduces your operational cost so you can keep the cost lower for the more affordable SE model. So overall, three types of neck constructions. You got the straight piece of wood, you have the scarf joint, and you have the multiply. Like we talked about, John Mayer's is a multiply neck. The NF3S is scarf joints. Going back to our slide, again, another important feature is the neck joint. Both of these guitars are bolt-on. When it comes to the neck and body guitar joints, guys, again, there are three different ways to do it primarily. You have it bolt-on, which is basically when your neck is screwed to the body. You have the set neck, which is where the neck is glued to the body. And then you have the neck through, which is the neck and the body is one piece, but then the two sides of the body of the guitar come in like wings and then they sort of attach to the middle, right? The bolt-on guitar construct has two major things to consider. First of all, because of the discontinuation in the wood and the presence of metal in there, guitars that are bolt-on sound a little bit more twangy, like a Strat should. So this is a good feature. This is, a Strat feature. Not a surprise there. But also, bolt-on guitar joints are easier to make, easier to fix, and easier to maintain, right? And again, makes perfect sense for an SE Stratocaster model to have a bolt-on neck joint. I'd be surprised if it was any other kind of joint, frankly. Back to the slide. Number of frets, both 22, not a surprise. Scale length, 25 inch, standard, not a surprise. Neck radius for John Mayer's Silver Sky is 8.5. For the NF3 is PRS's standard 10 inches. And the difference is that the lower the inches, the more curved your fretboard is going to be. So what this means is that the NF3 is less curved than the Silver Sky. However, the NF3 is still more curved than your standard, say, Fender or Gibson and all that, which are 12 inches in their radius, if I'm not mistaken. But the 10 inches is similar to PRS's flagship Custom 24 or McCarty models. Now, the neck shape is a little different when it comes to the Silver Sky and the NF3. The Silver Sky has John Mayer's neck shape, and the NF3 is wide thin. Now, I looked up the specific depth and width measurements on PRS's website. They're not that crazily different. The frets for both of these guitars are nickel, which I'm not surprised. I don't know why PRS loves nickel so much. I think it's because they want to create a bit of a warmer tone, as opposed to using the stainless steel frets in their guitars, which would make the guitar sound a little brighter. Overall, the release of this guitar was a surprise. excluding the pickup, the design was not a surprise whatsoever. I'm not sure if it will generate the same excitement as the Silver Sky. I don't think it will, but I'm expecting a high quality SE Strat model in the market, which is affordable and it's not going to break the bank. And that's about it. Take a good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.
Oh, now